In January 2021, one number about GameStop sounded physically impossible. Its short interest reached about 123% of its float. More shares were sold short than actually traded freely. How can you bet against more shares than exist? It is real, it is legal, and it points at something most investors never question. Because the single number everyone quotes to guess the next short squeeze, days to cover, is quietly misleading you. To see why, you have to know what reported short interest actually is, and just as importantly, what it is not. Here is the first thing that trips people up. Reported short interest is a photograph, not a live video. Firms tally up their open short positions on 2 fixed dates each month, the settlement dates in the middle and at the end. Then that snapshot is published, but with a delay of about 8 business days. So the figure you read today can be describing positions from almost 2 weeks ago. It is also easy to confuse with a completely different number, short volume, which is a daily flow of shorted shares traded. One is a standing position, the other is a stream of activity. Websites constantly mix them up, and that confusion is the root of half the bad takes about squeezes. Get this distinction clear and you are already ahead of most of the crowd. Let us pin down the timing, because the lag is part of the illusion. Short interest is collected as of 2 settlement dates a month. Firms must report their positions to FINRA within about 2 business days of each date. FINRA then disseminates the consolidated figures roughly 8 business days after the settlement date. So there is always a built-in delay between the world the number describes and the day you actually see it. In a fast-moving stock, a lot can change in those 8 business days. Positions can be opened and closed several times over. By the time the headline says a stock is heavily shorted, the shorts may already be gone or far larger. That single fact, that you are reading old news presented as current, is why treating short interest as a live gauge is a mistake. And it gets worse once you turn it into the ratio everyone loves to quote. Here's the ratio, and here's why it bends. Days to cover, also called the short interest ratio, is simply the number of shares sold short divided by the average daily trading volume. The idea is intuitive. If a stock has 8 million shares short and trades 2 million shares a day, it would take about 4 days of buying for every short to cover. 4 days to cover sounds like a clean measure of squeeze pressure, but look at the denominator. It is volume. So the exact same 8 million shorted shares gives you 4 days to cover in a quiet stock, and just 1 day to cover if that stock suddenly trades 8 million shares a day. The bearish bet did not shrink. The trading around it just got busier. High turnover, what traders call float rotation, mechanically crushes days to cover and makes a crowded short look harmless. Now the second distortion, the one behind that impossible GameStop number. The same share can be lent out, sold short, bought by someone new, and then lent out again. Each time it is shorted, it is counted as short interest. Chain that enough times and reported short interest can climb above 100% of the float. This is where the exam-style trap lies. The number looks like it is counting shares, but it is really counting positions, and positions can be stacked on top of each other. That is how you get more shorts than shares. GameStop is the case study that broke everyone's intuition. SEC staff reviewing the episode put its short interest at about 123% of float and noted it was the only stock they observed with short interest above its total shares outstanding. The cost to borrow the stock ran at around 25%. You may have heard the figure 140% instead, which circulated widely in the press. Use the SEC number, but the point either way is the same. The position stack towered over the actual share count. And here's the final blind spot. None of these figures capture a huge slice of real bearish exposure, because puts do not appear in short interest at all. A trader who buys puts or builds a synthetic short with options is betting against the stock without borrowing a single share. That exposure is invisible in the reported number, so the true weight of bearish bets can be larger than short interest suggests, in the exact opposite direction of the days to cover illusion. The headline number is not lying, but it is only ever telling you part of the story. So here is the lens. When you next see a stock described as heavily shorted, run 3 quick checks in your head. 1. How old is this snapshot, given the reporting lag? 2. Is days to cover low only because turnover is huge, hiding a crowded short? 3. How much bearish exposure is sitting in puts and re-lending that this number cannot see at all? Short interest is a useful gauge, but it is a delayed photograph of positions, not a live count of shares, and not the whole bet. The illusion is treating one lagged, stackable, options blind number as if it were the truth. It is a clue, not a verdict. Read it that way, and you will not be the one surprised when the impossible number turns out to be perfectly ordinary. If you like pulling apart the market's most misunderstood numbers, subscribe for more breakdowns like this.